Ever since the United States emerged defeat-orious from Afghanistan after a brief 239-month battle, we've been a nation desperately in search of our next quagmire. But recently, the gods of war answered Raytheon's prayers by delivering literally from the heavens an intelligence-gathering balloon launched by the People's Republic of China.
We cover it all in our new segment, America at War, Country TBD.
Here to discuss live from apparently a cheesecake factory is foreign policy expert and founding editor at Large of Semafor, Steve Clemons. Thank you so much for joining us, Steve.
James, good to be with you.
Now, Balloon 11 hit as military leaders and their congressional allies have been appearing on cable news using rhetoric with the cautious precision of an errant drone missile taking out a wedding party.
China is a major threat to the United States.
They foisted COVID-19 on the world. They're trying to effect the largest land grab, so to speak, in history.
If we understand how determined China is,
are these all the
we
same
have
guy?
time to maintain our military edge.
The odds are very high we could see a conflict with China and Taiwan and the Indo-Pacific.
Congressman McCall of Texas doesn't have a dog in this hunt, unless you include the dogs living on one of his state's 15 military bases.
Steve, are you concerned that by upping their defense spending to a full 36% of what America spends, China is proving they're too aggressive to reason with?
Look, China has a strategy.
Lame.
China wants to be influential in parts of the world. It does not want to have an empire of bases like the United States currently does, where it can deploy force, we can deploy our intelligence capacity all around the world. No nation at all can rival that and can't rival that for the next many decades. But I should add to that China, with all this tension, is America's largest trading partner. We do $750 billion of trade.
That's a lot of suicide nets.
It's kind of odd to be talking about and hyperventilating about a war with a nation that we do so much trade with.
You know, America spends more on defense than China, India, Russia, United Kingdom, Saudi Arabia, Germany, France, Japan, and South Korea combined. Since those countries will all go to war with us if we invade China, it'd be irresponsible not to double our spending.
Right. Well, if I may, I'm so sorry, Steve, but I have to jump in. The problem is we don't have enough pro-military entertainment besides all the movies, TV, news, and sports. And I am calling on the NFL to play the Super Bowl in the middle of the Pentagon.
Now, because a war with a nation with the largest army in the world is not guaranteed, even after we saw the big balloon, the United States is eyeing a backup war with Russia.
Now, luckily, the military generals are advocating soft diplomacy by simply naming the heavy artillery we must send to Ukraine yesterday.
The tanks are absolutely central.
Give them the M270 MLRS systems, which doubles the capacity of a HIMARS.
Dedication of the tanks.
Combined arms operations.
Getting those tanks here right now. More artillery ammunition, some armored fighting vehicles, even 20 tanks of artillery against artillery. More aircraft munitions, 600 drones, get 100 of those in. The ATACMS missile.
Good for CNN for getting perspective from General Wesley Clark, a pure unbiased source if you don't count his various roles with over 90 private and publicly traded companies. Now, Steve, are you concerned a war with Russia could lead to a nuclear conflict, leaving no one alive to go to war with China?
Well, the answer is absolutely, because Russia is a nation that is next to the United States, the most armed nuclear weapon state in the world. That the borders that this Ukraine conflict is touching are right along the lines of Poland and other NATO nations. And if any of those nations are attacked, then it brings together what they call Article 5, or the all for one, one for all maxim of NATO, and we all have to defend each other. We will be at war with Russia at that point. And given our armaments, given the military, and given some of the success of Vladimir Zelensky and the Ukrainians in fighting Russia, this could be something that, out of frustration, Putin goes nuclear. And then we have a very big problem.
Well, listen, if I know Vladimir Putin, he wants to project strength. And if he feels humiliated, he could lash out, which would be great for our ratings, sure, but terrible for humanity. That's why we should not say that Vladimir Putin is chicken.
Or that he's a skilled impressionist, like when he did that impression of the value of his country's currency.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Or that he joined the KGB because he thought it stood for keep getting Botox.
Oh, that's a good
Or
one.
his troops retreated faster than, this is Putin, or his troops retreated faster than his hairline in his early 20s.
Nice.
Yes.
Get him, Jade.
Yes. Hear more of this nuanced, delicate conversation during the Tuning at the News roast and provocation to war of Vladimir Putin.
Now, we shouldn't move on without saying that military generals appearing on cable news without disclosing how they profit from military escalation is a serious violation of whatever's left of the trust between the media and electorate.
Now, let's bring in foreign policy expert Kablooey the Missile of Kablooey and Associates Defense Solutions, live from his office in Arlington, Virginia. Thank you for joining us, Kablooey.
Thank you for having me.
Now, Kablooey, obviously a very serious situation with China and Russia.
Yes, two fronts.
If you were in the Pentagon right now, as opposed to your office across the street, what are you advising the Defense Department?
First of all, my heart goes out to all the Ukrainian women and children, and the Chinese women and children scared for their lives. Second, it's incumbent upon the United States to show strength.
And what is strength to you, Kablooey?
It's standing up for freedom and unanimously passing a $2 trillion defense package consisting of tanks, ammunition, and fighter jets. Oh, also helicopters.
That's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So, Steve, is Kablooey right here? Do we need to increase spending for ammunition, fighter jets, and helicopters?
James, you forgot the tanks. General Dynamics will be super bummed if we don't push the tanks thing hard this quarter.
Look, I mean, this is a show that you're punching the buttons, basically looking at what's going on in the world and seeing a war around every corner.
No.
You know, and I think with Kablooey, who obviously has a conflict of interest between the kinds of, investments he wants to make with our tax dollars, there are better ways to do it.
Wow. Kablooey, your response?
Look, I know what you're thinking. Kablooey escalating deadly conflict using reckless rhetoric just to make a buck is the definition of evil. I get it. But then I remember that somewhere in Ukraine or Taiwan or any inch of planet Earth, there's a little boy named Tommy and his single mother, Tammy, who needs the United States to send them 10 to 20 F-16 Fighting Falcons, even if it means Kablooey earning enough to buy a downright sick, nasty BMW. Like I barely tapped the accelerator and in 4 seconds, I'm going 100. That engine is roaring like a beast from Planet Awesome. But if you think that's wrong, then you hate little Tommy and his little mama and the brave, democracy-loving people of whatever countries I said earlier.
That was so beautiful,
Amazing.
Kablooey.
Mm-hmm.
Steve, please apologize to Kablooey.
Me apologize?
Yeah,
Please.
yeah, you.
Me apologize. There's going to be no apology coming from my side.
That's bullshit, Steven. You know it.